Hello everyone, today we're going to be learning how to solve quadratic equations by completing the square. Let's start off with an equation, x squared plus 8x plus 10 equals 30. And I feel like completing the square is used when you can't really use the AC method. For this one, you can use the AC method if you wanted to. So step one of completing the square is isolating the constant term on one side of the equation. So isolate the constant term on, I don't know, let's say the right side. So by doing this, we just do this by subtracting 10 from both sides, and we get x squared plus 8x equals 20. The next step is we're gonna make a perfect square trinomial, and that's how this whole thing works basically. If you don't know what a perfect square trinomial is, it's basically when you have like an equation, for example, a trinomial, which is a polynomial with 3 terms. So for example, we have x squared minus 10x plus 25. This is a perfect square trinomial, which basically means that this can be written as like a perfect square kind of. So as you can see, this is x minus 5, which is x minus 5 squared. So this is perfectly equal to this. You can write it perfectly as like this squared binomial. And this will help us when we move on to step 3. So let's just work on step 2, which is to create a perfect square trinomial on the left side so we can solve for the roots. So in order to do this, step 2, we need to add b over 2 in parentheses squared to both sides. And both sides because we need to keep the equation like equal. We're not actually like changing it. If we only add it to one side, that'd be changing the equation. So we don't want to do that. So add b over 2 squared to both sides. And b over 2 is important. Remember this, b over 2 squared. That is really important because that is what helps you get the perfect square trinomial. So we're just gonna add this to both sides. So b would be 8. So we put a over 2 squared. A over 2 is 4, which is 4. So we go 4 squared, which is equal to 16. So now we have to add 16 to both sides. So that would get us, that's right here, x squared plus 8x plus 16 equals 36. And now we have a perfect square trinomial. This is a perfect square trinomial. So we just have to turn this into this form, into like a squared binomial form. So in order to do that, we're going to use like the AC method for this. So we're going to say 16, right? 16, and then we split it up 4 and 4. And that would split up b. And so we can say x plus 4 squared equals 36. So anyways, back to this. We're gonna take this, and because we have a squared binomial, that helps us find the roots, because now we can easily just go like this. We just take the square root of both sides. So step 3 is take the square root of both sides, and then here it would cancel out here, so you get x plus 4, and then here 36, the square root of 36 is plus minus 6, because remember it can be positive 6 or negative 6, because if it's positive 6, 6 times 6 is 36, and then negative 6 squared is also equal to 36, because negative 6 times negative 6 is equal to positive 36. So that's why it's plus or minus. And then from here we set up 2 equations. So the first equation would be x plus 4 equals 6. And then the next one would be x plus 4 equals negative 6, because again it's plus or minus. So then we just solve for both of these. So you subtract 4 from both sides for this one, so subtract 4, so you get x is equal to 2. And then here you subtract 4 from both sides, 2, subtract 4, and then you get x is equal to negative 10. So these are the answers, and then so step 4 would be set up two equations using the square root of the constant term, square roots kind of the constant term, and solve. We're just gonna plug this back in and see if it works. 2 squared plus 8, 2 plus 10 equals 30. So 2 squared would be 4 plus 16, which is 8 times 2, plus 10 equals 30. And that makes sense because 4 plus 16 is 20, plus 10 equals 30. So that is right. If you want to check the second one, which is x is equal to negative 10, we can do that real quick. So negative 10 squared plus 8, negative 10 plus 10 equals 30. Negative 10 times negative 10 is 100, positive 100, and negative 10 times 8 is negative 80, so minus 80 plus 10 is equal to 30, and that makes sense because 100 minus 8 is 20, 20 plus 10 is again equal to 30, so that works too. Let's just quickly review, I guess. So first, you isolate the constant term on the right side of the equation, which we did. So we got 20. So you have the first two terms of the trinomial here, and then you have the constant here. So you can use this to create a constant term that would make it a perfect square trinomial. So you take the b value, use this parentheses b over 2 squared, add it to both sides, so that will give you the constant term that will make this a perfect square trinomial, and you have to add it to this side too, just because it will make the equation still even because you're doing it to both sides. So then that would give you that perfect square trinomial. So then you can rewrite it as a squared binomial, and then that will allow you to easily just take the square root of both sides, and then you can just solve from there by setting up two equations, and then you solve for each one, which should give you the roots.